please. I just have one question.
Yeah.
Would you be doing any like business type of transaction kits too?
I won't. Okay, so the purpose of this whole course is to actually show you how to access MLS, web forms, and create your transaction kit. How you can add your forms, how you can customize your clauses, and of course find the standard ones, okay? In the specific, if we're going into business, you would still have standard clauses. However, when it comes to business, you would personalize your clauses to both seller and buyer's needs, okay? That I can definitely maybe email you a copy of a standard one, as long as you understand how to actually go on to MLS, access web forms, and then create everything, okay? So I'll be very generic this morning in terms of what type of transaction. So I'm gonna base myself on the most common ones, which are the agreement of purchase and sale and the lease. These are the standard ones. I mean, hopefully you'll be doing more sales and leases, but still leases are there, and they're actually very articulated, because when you're selling title. When you're giving a lease, you're not selling title, and you both have very strong responsibilities. And whatever's written in that contract, some things are null and void once occupancy is there, others aren't. So it has to be articulated a certain way. Of course, any agreement you're drafting will then be personalized, okay? So I'm gonna base myself on standards. I'm gonna get you into the concept of how to create a transaction kit in web forms, your options when completing it. You can email it, you can link it to your electronic signature program, you can download it in an editable format, and you keep in mind that that link, if you were to download it, has 1 week valid. It is only valid for 1 week, okay? So I'm gonna give you an overview hands-on. We're gonna do it together and we'll get it started from there. I will be doing other courses, okay? But for now, I want to give you the introduction, because many people and many agents come to us and say, I don't even know how to create my transaction kit. Good morning. I don't know how to do an offer, how to type an offer. How can I have my standard clauses? There you go. You know, maybe you do business, right? Sales of businesses, or you do more commercial, and you have personalized clauses. Well, through your transaction kit, you can actually upload your standard clause, your personalized clause, and a custom template, and you can always work off of that. So my goal today is to actually show you how to get into that and do it, okay? And we'll take samples from the agreement of purchase and sale and the lease. If you want something more detailed, I'll put a note on there. I'll send you a standard business, let's say, sale form, okay? And then we can always tweak and work off of it. But today, that is our goal, okay? Just gonna give you a handout here.
Sale or a lease.
Yes.
I'm working on a lease and I'm going to.
On a lease, sale, business lease? Is it a sublease?
No.
Oh, just a lease. Yeah, so there are different, like I said, different scenarios as well that then would require personalization, right? Standards are always there, just like in a lease of a home or a freehold. However, the standards will be there, but you will personalize it to your client's needs, okay? I'm just gonna give you time to set up your Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi password is on the board, capital L, capital G. But who doesn't know me? You don't know, but you're at a bond office.
I am.
Right, I sent you the invite. So yeah, so I'm Celeste Panza, for whoever doesn't know me. Started off here 8 years ago. I was just front desk, right? Then I became video secretary for many years. So I put many faces, Paul, to names. And then I just kept on going, became an agent. It's not easy out there. So you've all witnessed that as well. So I grew with my license internally. I like to update myself, always kind of be in the loop of what's new and what's not, okay? And I like to help agents, and I love to see them succeed. That's hard today, right? No competition, no conflict, right? I'd love to hear someone say, you know, Celeste, I did an offer at 10:30, got it through my transaction kit, it went through, it was amazing. I work off of electronic programs. I've trained other offices as well for that. Now I'm coordinating the academy here for all offices. So if you ever have any questions, want guidance into what courses we have or how I can help you, I'm more than happy to do so. Okay? So you can let me know when you're set up, Bartosh, right? And then we'll be on this. If you have any questions as we go, just ask. I'm going to take it really one step at a time, from Google to logging on to MLS and to going on to web forms, and we'll keep on going. Like I said before, for who is not here, I will be sending a step-by-step process in a PDF format to everyone so that I know it's going to be hands-on, so a lot of people sink into it, but then we get caught in our everyday lives, and then when we're actually going to do an offer, we're going to miss that one step. Having that PDF there will kind of bring you back. On my emails, I always have my cell number, unless you call me after 9:30 because it's sleep time for me as well. I'm always available, so you can reach out to me. Okay? Are we ready? Yeah, everyone's ready? Great. All right, so the first step to log on to MLS, okay? So I'm going to do it from this computer, and of course, you'll see it on the screen. Okay, so we would log on to our MLS. I'm sure everyone is familiar with this process, right? All right, so it redirects us to this page. How many of you are finding the same page that I'm on right now? Same page? Just gonna open this up a little bit more. It's not giving me a full screen. Click on my screen resolution here.
No, try control with minus together.
Yeah, I did that before. It threw me off actually. So I'm gonna do my screen resolution, okay? There we go. Thank you. All right, so this is the first page that you're always going to find Hi, Good Morning when you log on to MLS. You might if you don't have that. Okay, because of course yes, and okay. Okay, so this is your first page, okay? I always suggest the best way to do it is right here on the top right, on the bottom right side, you see web forms, right? You click there. If it doesn't show up, sometimes it does that, just click on search here and you go onto the home page. Today's my day.
It's booted me off twice so far.
Right,
Yeah.
And then you would be able to click over here, home page, which again will redirect you to the page you need where you can see web forms, okay? Because they've updated MLS, most times lately when you log in, you'll find the page where you can have the quick search option on the side. And so that will trick you and you'll have to go back to the home page to find web forms, okay?
It's also in your links.
Right.
Yeah, links.
Let's give you a chance to log in. Traffic is bad, I understand. We'll get to this whole step. I don't want to lose out. All right. Are you, Santana, you're familiar to how to get to the actual web forms, right? Okay, perfect. So we click on web forms. And of course, it will probably ask you to update to create new forms. I do not suggest that. This I do not suggest. Reason being is because many agents have clicked on that and they've found that their MLS web form system is no longer friendly user. It really gets blocked up. It redirects you to different forms. You don't need that. We're part of TREB, okay? We kind of stick to our forms as to our boards, okay? And we do have region-wide and provincial forms on our transaction kit, so we're not going to complicate our life and click on the new version of Korea, okay? So we're going to drop that down with an X. Okay. So it brings us to this first page, okay? On this first page, you will see, I'm going to go tab by tab, okay? So the first tab here that says transaction kits, this one over here, you don't have it. Have you updated to the new Korea? There you go. So this is a perfect example of what happens.
So what do you do then?
You would have to revert back to
Newer,
it.
you can see transaction keys there.
Oh, the new Korea?
Yeah.
Not
Find
many
it here.
do.
Isn't
Not
it
many
page?
do. I'll look into it. Just give me a minute, sorry.
Yeah, looks like you.
Yeah, transaction keys.
Right. So you have your transaction kits. It's gonna have a different base, okay?
What
That's
version
okay.
is it?
That's okay. You can follow it.
412.
You find, it's the same tabs that you
Yeah,
see, it's
12
just in a different format, okay?
Just
Yes.
not the new.
You're not seeing it either? Turn your computer, sorry, to me.
Yeah, she's on the new 3S4.
Cancel. Decline it.
Decline.
Oh.
Sorry. No problem. Why isn't it not letting you now? You clicked on the update, right? Now it wants an update from you. It's okay, we'll get out of this one too.
Click on the wrong one. I didn't click anything. I just went to the web form.
Have you ever used webform?
No.
Let's go on it. It'll load it.
Oh,
It'll load it, okay? It's just, it's not reading because you've never actually used web forms. Don't worry, we'll get there. Yeah, it's not reading it at all. Try to log out and log back in, okay?
okay.
And then go through the step by step. I don't want to stop the class, okay?
Okay.
All right, so whether you have the new format, you will find a tab on the right, left side. Right, you went back, correct? Perfect. So you have your transaction kits here, where if you click on them, you'll have a list of your transaction kits that you've currently created. In my situation, I have my transaction kits over here, okay? If you haven't created any, you won't find any, okay? If you have, they'll certainly be here, okay? And it goes up to many pages, so you can always store them, have them go back to them. However, when you reach a certain amount, they will be bumped out, okay? So the latest one you've done to the earliest, the latest one will be bumped out when you have an X amount of transaction kits. Then you have this little tab here that's templates, okay? Now, I don't have any templates created. So let's say in the case of you doing many business sales or commercial deals or rural properties, and you want to create your own template where you know that there's standards that you'll always use and you always suggest your clients to have in there, and you can tweak on them and you can actually insert and add to that. You would create a new template. see over here the tab Create New Template, and it would redirect you, a little bit slow, but it will, to a template name. So let's say you want to create your own agreement of purchase and sale with all your standard clauses. You would be able to name it. I'll name it APS, okay? And it gives you the option from an empty template, you see that, and copy from existing. You would create an empty template because you're personalizing your own template. Then you would click on Next, okay? And it redirects you to what forms you could select for the template you want to create. So if you look at all forms over there, it should give you a list of all the forms as per TREB. Okay, so there you go. You would select your forms. The one you see in red, because you are part of Royal LePage Your Community and are registered with TREB with Royal LePage Your Community, you will always find the Schedule B. That is mandatory for any offer you're doing, whether it's a sale, a lease, a business. It strictly refers to who is holding the deposit in case you are the listing agent, okay? So if you have a listing, any listing, a lease, a business sale, a sale, that Schedule B must always be attached to the listing for the cooperating agents to access. And if they don't, because many agents ignore it, you want to have it in the offer. Okay, go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna ask, yeah, because I came across an agent, a buying agent that did not want to include that.
Well, why wouldn't he? Basically, have you ever read it? Do we want to read it quickly? We'll read it quickly. So you can explain to them why it is actually, it makes sense for them to have it in there. Unless there's other agreements where you're not holding the deposit as a listing brokerage, which is very awkward, is a lawyer holding it, then that would have a whole new schedule in place. The Schedule B for the listing brokerage is 90% of the times I would say mandatory, okay? And if we open it, we can preview it, okay? I'm not sure if you're able to view it big enough, okay?
It's not in my schedule, like it's not in the list.
It's not in there, you
But I
have to,
don't have a board, I think you have a different tab, you have 4 tabs, I only have 3 tabs. All forms, provincial form, work form, and I think brokerage form is missing, in my.
in your TREB. Let me look at it after the course, because we'll get it updated,
Oh, you
okay?
did? Okay.
Most, all of you are seeing the Schedule B,
Yeah.
right? So it's just a matter of an update, I'll get that for you.
We have to name the template first.
Yes,
Right,
you
or-
always name
Yeah.
it, right? And I short formed it APS. You could name it my agreement, Celeste agreement, anyway, you can name it really, whatever it refers to, it's always suggested. So you have it in there, it's a standard, okay? Going back to the Schedule B, Donald, it says the buyer and the seller acknowledges and agrees that the deposit holder, Royal LePage Your Community Realty Brokerage, discloses that the deposits or funds are being held in a variable interest rate account in trust. We all know our deposits are held in trust, okay? As specified by the Real Estate Business Brokers Act 2002, Section 27, at the current rate of prime less 2.15%. The brokerage calculates and disperses all interest earned for the benefit of all depositors, buyers, unless otherwise directed in writing by the depositor buyer. The interest earned on all deposits is subject to an administration fee of $50 plus HST per deposit or further deposits. In the event the interest earned does not exceed $50, such interest shall be retained by the brokerage as full payment of the administration fee. No accounting statement will be provided. No interest shall be paid to the buyer unless the buyer provides the deposit holder with a social insurance number and emailing address for the use on T5 forms prior to completion of this transaction. For all the purposes of this notice, the terms banking days or business days shall mean any day other than Sunday, Saturday, or statutory holiday. Basically, this is just out of the box for you to know as well. Has anyone ever done a transaction where the buyer wanted the deposit being held by our brokerage and gaining interest? Never. Okay. So in the deals office, it happens maybe at least once every 3 months. You
Again,
have.
on occasion, commercial, because it's a longer gestation.
There you go. And that money is being held by the brokerage. And in the case of a commercial deal, unfortunately but true, you could be working on a transaction for 6 months and it might not even go anywhere. And myself as a buyer investor, if I'm buying a business, what's going to happen to my deposit? It's sitting there. It's money that I've taken out and I have no interest on. So I am going to sign the Schedule B, but I will ask that brokerage to calculate interest bearing on my deposit for me to gain. That Schedule B gives you 2 options. It tells you, we roll a page, you're holding your deposit in a trust account, as per the Business Broker Act. The same time, if there is a written request and that buyer provides a social insurance number, they can gain interest on that amount of money that was put in. Okay, so those are options. Anyone doing a transaction, whether it's you with a listing brokerage in your co-op, you should be having a copy of that Schedule B, also for your client's interest. Vice versa, we're the listing agents, we should be providing it. We can't force them, but we should really be providing it. Okay, that was just an out of the box, but it's there. All right, so here you would have all your forms, okay? This is very simple, but I'm not going to open this portion now. I want to bring you to a full transaction kit. This is to give you an idea of how you can create a template. When we go back to the transaction kit and create a full one, you'll understand your template as well, how you can personalize it. I'm just giving you an overview right now, okay? You also have provincial forms. If you look into this, it takes a little bit longer, but it'll get there. Some have provincial forms, others won't come up at all. How many of you have provincial forms? Right, there you go. Provincial forms refer to Ontario real estate, okay? So if you're doing a deal or referral in Vancouver, are you going to look into provincial forms? You won't. Even if you're working on a referral and you have to type something up, you're not going to be looking at provincial forms, okay? Board forms. Board forms are TREB forms. There's not many in there, okay? But you will see for the most part, you'll find the MLS data information form. And it refers to condominium lease, condominium sale, cottage, rural, waterfront, tide, and freehold lease. For the most part, they're the MLS data input forms. For any listing we have, unless it is an exclusive listing, the MLS data form has the exact same requirement and importance of the listing agreement, the Form 200. Okay, so we have to keep that in mind. And then you have brokerage forms, which many of you don't have. So I'll get that updated. Schedule B, there you go. If the brokerage, as per policy, introduces another form, you would be notified of it and you could save it here, okay? So what I'm gonna do now is bring us back to the root, the transaction kits, okay? We have, I'll start from the simple one. We have a listing to go to, okay? We want to be prepared. So we're going to do our CMA, okay? And at the same time, we know in mind a price range that we want. We know what we're gonna charge for commission, okay? And hopefully all of you in doing CMAs or going on to listing presentations, gather information of sellers prior to going in. You introduce yourself, you know their names, you know who's on title, so you also know who you're speaking to and who really makes the final decision, okay? So I'm going to take the first example as a listing. So if we're creating a listing agreement in transaction kits, we're back on our home page and we're going to click on create new transaction kit, okay? Our transaction kit is going to be a listing agreement for what property? 123 Smith. Let's call it 123 Smith, okay? So we're gonna name it listing agreement 123 Smith. Now, when it gives you the client's email address, which is an optional, it's for the sole purpose because it will then give you the option to email it to your client, okay? My habit, maybe bad or good, I don't put my client's email in there, okay? I like to send it separately, but it's an optional, so however you feel comfortable. Then you have an MLS number. Now, if we're drafting the listing, we don't have an MLS number, okay? So we're going to start with an empty transaction kit. But if you see here on the second part of it, right over here, it gives you the option of a template. So if we had a template of a listing agreement or certain things that we have in there, could work off of that template, okay? But right now, we're gonna start with the empty transaction kit. We click on the empty transaction kit and we click on next, okay? Then we click on all forms, which is always the easiest method for all of us to find any form we need. And you have to think that when we're searching for that form, there's keywords. Keywords are important, okay? In this case, we're going to start typing for the listing agreement because that's what we're looking for. And I just typed listing and it gave me in alphabetical order everything that comes up referring to a listing. Is everyone seeing this? Okay. Now I'm going to scroll down and go find my listing. Okay. There it is. So I'm going to offer it for sale. I'm selling the property. And the correct form is listing agreement to offer for sale. Okay. I have two options. I can preview it to see if it's the correct one I need. Okay. So I can go in, preview it. It seems like it's the right one. I close the preview. And right here on the left side, I have add. Everyone see add? Right here, where the little hand is. I'm going to move a bit forward. Can you see it now? We all have add. We're going to add that listing agreement to our transaction kit. Okay? But it is a listing agreement that's going on to MLS. So further to our listing agreement, what do we need? An MLS data input form. So we're going to go look for it. We're going to go back to our search list here. Is everyone seeing that clearly? Yeah. And we're going to type by keyword, MLS. And it will redirect us to everything we need. And once again, it's an MLS data information freehold sheet for sale. So we would go here, we can preview it. If we know it's that, we would click add. Okay? Now, when we're preparing a listing, we know that we require certain documents, okay? Think tracks are suggested upon signing a listing. However, they are not mandatory. They are mandatory once the sale is completed, once there is an actual offer involved, okay? So we're going to stick to our two forms. And what other form are we missing? Working with the realtor. Extremely important for any transaction, okay? So once again, I'm going to go back up. And I'm going to type working, and it's going to come up. It's a keyword. So there we go. We have working with a realtor commercial, the brochure, which is a one-page, the full brochure like you would find it folded, working with a realtor, one-page faxable, or working with a realtor, the brochure. Okay? I like to work off of transaction kit with the one page. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to preview it first. And if it looks good to me, I'm going to add it to my transaction kit, okay? So add. So now I have all the documents I need to create this listing package, okay? I will create and save this transaction kit. And it'll redirect me to my first document. So in my first document, as you are part of Royal LePage, your community, I'm not sure if that comes up on your end. Does it come up with Royal LePage standard, everyone? Okay. You will have all our brokerage information because the listing agreement is between the brokerage and the client. We are third parties representing the brokerage, okay? Here you would put in seller's name. So it's just me, it's me. Everyone can put in their own name, okay? And for the property known as the property address, 123 Smith. I'm going to do it quickly. Drive, Richmond Hill. Let's do it like that, okay? Of course, you would make sure you have the capitals in place and everything. This part here, of course, it says, when does it commence? We all know that contracts must be a minimum of 60 days. That's right. So let's say we're gonna start it today, okay? We're gonna end it, we have August, September, I'm gonna end it September 30th. If you can get 6 months, that would be amazing. But let's say we're gonna end it on September 30th, okay? So we're gonna go here, go to our days, and we're gonna end it September 30th. We are going to fill in as much information possible so that we don't have to go back and make any manual changes on that, okay? So the price, we're gonna put 100,000, let's leave it at that. Okay, we're gonna go down. I'm assuming that everyone knows how to fill it, so I'm just gonna scroll quickly through it so we can get through this. Total commission, does anyone have the good old 5% days? 2.5 to the co-op, and then any other conditions can be on there. Normally a holdover period, we'll do our 90 days, and we're gonna go through this whole form, okay? So we're gonna bring it down, we're gonna put any names that we need there, signatures. Now, once we've completed this form, we don't wanna lose it, it's edited, so we've completely, you okay, Karen? Yeah. We've completed it, we don't wanna lose it. What are we gonna click?
Save.
Go home and save. Everyone keep that in mind. In the meantime, if it was a longer form and you were working on it and you got an interruption, client calls, you're going to click save because you don't want to lose the work you've updated. Because if Trev logs you out, web forms won't probably, but most of the time it does happen, okay? And you're going to lose all your work. So I would always suggest if it's a longer form like the MLS data input forms to click on save. However, to go back to our second form that we need to complete, you're going to click go home and save, okay? So you're gonna go home and save, and you go back to your transaction kits. So you see, I've created listing agreement for 123 Smith. Now I've gotta go to my second form, which I need to fill out. So I'm going to click on this again, and it will open it up for me. You all see that? You have a listing agreement that you've already worked on, you have your data input form, and you have your working with a realtor, okay? So you would do the same for all forms. You would go in and edit them. I'm gonna make this quicker because I wanna get to the offers. You would go in and edit them, okay? You edit, same procedure, go home and save, you go back, you're on your transaction kit. Once you've completed your transaction kit, you have tabs here. The first one is send to. If you click that tab, it gives you different options. It gives you email, which if you would have put your client's email in there, it would automatically redirect you to sending it to your client's email. It gives you, there you go, see, your current session will expire. You don't want that. It will give you the option to send it to your electronic signature program. Personally, I have DocuSign linked to mine. I'm transitioning out of it because of AuthentiSign, but I don't want to get into that right now. And then you have next one, which is Faltor, our internal system, which links to our accounting. So whatever electronic program you work off of, and if you don't have one, it gives you options as to where to send this transaction kit. In this case, I'm going to send it to my email. Everyone's going to send it to their email, okay? And it gives you that option. You click on email, and it says to. Who are we sending it to? So I'm going to send it to my Academy one to not get confused. If your client had a printer, and they were fine with printing and manually signing it, from here, you could send it directly to your clients with a CC'd email address, which is yours, okay? Subject, you would tick off the documents you do or don't want to send. See, that gives you that option as well. You could type in an actual email. Hi, this is the listing agreement. Please let me know if you have any questions. Give me a call. You would go down and see these little tabs here, read only. Now, when your client receives that email, they will be receiving a link to each document. You have the option to send them a read-only option, which they can't make any changes to, or if you tick it off, like it says, If selected, forms will be locked, so data cannot be altered. If you don't click it off, your client can go in and make changes that they need. That's based on your agreement with your clients, okay? If you're sending it to a client and not to yourself, it's always suggested to do read only, okay?
What if we send, sorry, what if we sending it to ask them to sign?
That's right, so you would send them read only, if it's just to sign. If you say, okay, I'm gonna send it to you, but then we'll talk and we can make the changes, you can do it that way, okay? Then you have request a read receipt. Everyone wants a read receipt because you are CCing yourself and sending it out, but you also want to know when they're opening it. And you will get that notification. So you can also, to this transaction kit, add your own files, okay? So let's say you have another schedule or an amendment that you didn't do through transaction kits or an actual written agreement between you and your clients, you can add it from your computer. And you would do that by clicking on choose file, okay? So if you have a separate agreement between you and your clients, commission adjustments, anything, you would actually be able to save it either in your files, your desktop, click choose file, and add it to this transaction kit, okay? Then you would click on send. Is everyone on their emails as well? Have you typed in your email?
I scanned my screen closed.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so just let me know, or else you can come here and see it with me. I don't have nothing that can't be seen here. So if you go on your email, did everyone get an email? I'll show you what mine looks like, okay? So that everyone can see if they're seeing the same thing. So here it is, Celeste Panza. I just sent myself a listing agreement. So it tells you, here's a link to open your read-only forms. And if I open it, I will see what my realtor, in this case, sent me with all the information filled in, okay? So that is basically a basic step of how to create your transaction kit and send it off to a client, okay? We're gonna go a bit deeper now into how to create an agreement of purchase and sale, how to add your clauses, and how you can actually make changes once you've added those clauses, okay? Because this is where many realtors get stuck. They either can't find the clauses, or realistically, we don't always know how to word them and make sure that they're covering everything, okay? So we're gonna close this part and back onto our web forms, okay? And we're gonna create a new transaction kit because we're drafting an offer, okay? So once again, we would click on create new transaction kit. And I'm going to name it, okay? Agreement of purchase and sale, so I'm gonna do APS 123 Smith. Always gonna use that, okay? Empty transaction kit unless you have a template already there, okay? And I'm going to click on next. Now, one thing I would suggest for everyone, when typing an offer, you have 2 pages here. See, you went into web forms here, but you still have your MLS page open, okay? So I would go in and search the listing for that property that I'm going to type an offer on. And I'll tell you why. It'll make your life easier when you're bringing information onto web forms, okay? So we're gonna do it like this. We're gonna search for the property that we're going to type the offer for. And in this case, I'll take one of mine, okay? And I'm going to use this one, okay? What I'm going to do is copy the MLS number, and I'll tell you why. When you're typing the offer in web forms, you will copy that MLS number for the offer you're going to type. So you see it over here, we grab that one. We're going to copy it, and we're going to go back to our web forms. jumped right to it. So see over here, when it says MLS number, if you're typing an offer, try to put it in. Because you will be bringing that same information in terms of names, plans, lot sizes, it'll all be in there. Okay, it sinks in. So I'm going to paste the MLS number and click on next. Then I'm going to add my forms, what I need,
What was that number just for,
the MLS number.
yeah, no, what was it, N41? I couldn't read it.
Oh, you can type it. Okay, yeah, sorry about that. You're right. It's best off that way. Was everyone ever able to type in? We'll get back on. So N41-85928. Okay. So we would click on next. Okay. And we're going to add the agreement of purchase and sale, the agreement to lease. In this case, it is a sale. We're going to do the agreement of purchase and sale. Okay. So it's going to give us the all forms option. Okay. And here we have all our different types of forms again, all forms. In this case, we select our form and we add it. Okay. We're going to stick to the agreement of purchase and sale, although we all know that for an offer, an agreement of purchase and sale is not sufficient. Okay. You need all your other documents, confirmation of cooperation. You're going to need, your 801 if that's the case. But in this case, because we're going to work on adding clauses into web forms, we will only add the agreement of purchase and sale. Okay? So once we've added all our documents that are required for this offer, we will then click again on Create and Save Transaction Kit. And it will redirect us to the agreement form. So here we are. And like I said, because we've added the MLS number, we have sellers, we have the address. Some doesn't always give you lot sizes. You have a full detailed plan as per what the realtor has put on there. However, it is always suggested to do some geo-warehouse research because not many realtors do put a complete plan on the listing. There's either no space, they don't put it anywhere in the listing brokerage remarks. So you will have to do your research to verify. However, it is there, okay? So we're going to start. We're going to put our names in. We're going to do the whole offer just to bring us to the page that we need. So today's offer, okay, today's date, I'm the buyer, okay? We're going to put in the information based on our knowledge. So we can always go back to the listing. You see that on web forms? And if something hasn't come in, we're on this page. We need to know if it's fronting on what side. We can go in and we can see, is it on the north side, the south side? You have the listing in your hands right there to confront, okay? So you go back to the agreement, you fill in all the information you require, purchase price, deposit, completion date, all the information. Now, chattels included. In other terms, you would probably handwrite them if you knew, but you do have an MLS listing opened on your other page. So you would go down to your chattels included, okay? And you would actually grab them from here, copy them, and be able to paste them into your web forms. So I'll show you how we're going to do that, okay? So we're going to grab that. Copy it, go back to our agreement of purchase and sale, and we can paste it. But of course, on an agreement of purchase and sale, we don't use short forms. We have to be detailed, so we'll just go in and make those changes. So hot water tank, right? And we would go on adding all the information we need. So further to copying and pasting, you can actually go in and type the information you require. Okay?
What's CAC? CAC?
Yeah, central air control.
Oh, central air.
Right. So all the information here, the R, you can leave it. It's a rental, we know. It's either owned or rented, right? But for all other information, because many times they don't fit in, they're short form in an offer, you can't do that. You have to be as detailed as you can, okay? So you would go down all the way to your Schedule A, add in all your information, and it brings you to this page, okay? So you have three options here. Insert clauses, which is the strongest part that you have to know. Add a blank page. Now, if you know that you have many clauses that won't fit on that Schedule A page, you could either add a blank page in advance or just work on it. And it will automatically add the page for you, okay? And then you have remove last page. So let's say you added a page, you don't need it, you can always go in and remove that last page, okay? We are going to concentrate right now on insert clauses because that's the crucial part of your offer. So we're going to click on that. And if you look over here on the offer that I printed for you on Schedule A, you'll start seeing the standards that are required in an agreement to purchase and sale. Okay? So everyone's on this page, Schedule A, first page of Schedule A. You'll have it right there. Okay. So my computer, my web forms brought me directly to custom clauses, okay? So back again on your home page of web forms, you have the option to create a custom template or a custom clause. If you would have had a custom template or a custom clause, you would be able to click here and find your custom clause that you need. I don't have them, okay? But you would be able to create one. We are going to work off of standard clauses, which makes everyone's life easier because you can still bring them in and make changes to them, and I'll show you how, okay? So, standard clauses. Okay, there you are. So we're gonna start searching, bless you, for keywords, okay? So the first clause in this contract says the buyer agrees to pay the balance of purchase price. We don't know what number that clause is. I mean, we can't remember them all. So we're going to search by keywords, okay? Keyword is balance, right? So if we all type in here, balance, it will give us the options. And look, we found it. It's the first one, balance of purchase price. If we're not sure before adding it again, we can preview it and we can confront it. And maybe one or two words will be different from here, but the concept is there. So once we've seen that this is the clause we want, we can close it and add it, okay? So now we've added our first clause to our agreement. But then here it is. The second clause is conditional on financing, okay? We're gonna read it and it says mortgage, that's a keyword, mortgage, yes.
Plus, I'm lost here somewhere. Oh, yeah, just loading it. I was trying to get to that and I haven't been
Yeah,
able to.
I'll come, sorry, just give me a minute.
Sorry about that.
No problem, Paul. Standard clauses?
Yeah.
It takes some time to click on. Right. Right, and then remove that. Here you are. Okay, so you're here, insert clauses. It's just a little bit slow.
Probably because we're all on it.
Right. Okay. It'll redirect you to the page.
Okay, I wasn't able to get to that.
Right, and then you're gonna type in balance. So let's see if it just brings you there and then. So your standard clauses, you're on it already. Type in the keyword here, balance. Right, you're always gonna look for the keyword in the search clause section. Right, and then you're gonna take the first one and add it. There you go.
Thank
Now
you.
we're all on track.
Okay.
Everyone's at the same point, right? So the second clause, like I said, is conditional upon the buyer arranging at the buyer's own expense, mortgage. Mortgage is our keyword. We're gonna add it. So we're gonna go back here, search clauses for, and we're gonna put mortgage. and it'll give me more options. There you are. So in our keywords, we have, is it a new mortgage? Is it a second mortgage? It is a new mortgage, okay? With different options, percentage purchase price. Trev Web Forms gives you options that you can always go in and work on in terms of dates and percentages. The standard, we will stick to that, is arranging a new mortgage, all right? So we're going to preview it as usual, okay? And see how it gives you the options, insert text, insert text. You could use that one, but it is completely different in terms of confronting it to this one, okay? The concept is there. You can go in, remove all those bearing interests. You can remove all that and make it plain and simple, saying it's conditional. That's why I gave everyone a copy. This is a very complete clause. It covers everything that is needed when you're just saying my client needs a first mortgage. That's what it is. But we will add this, okay? Add and close, okay? So we've added the second condition. So does anyone want to give me a keyword for the third clause?
Inspection.
Inspection, that's right. So we're going to add inspection. And if you have any clauses you think you need to find and you think that are difficult, we can work on it together now and put in a keyword, okay? So here it is. You have all the inspection clauses. Inspection of property by a home inspector. Is it a general inspection? Todd, going back to before, general inspection condo. You see it over here?
Yeah.
Right. So that's what you would normally use for an inspection on a condo. I don't know how many of you deal with inspection on condos.
Well, that's the next question. How many people actually get inspections on a 500 square
Very
foot
little.
condo?
Very little. Even on 1,000 square foot condo, okay? Reason being is because when you're buying a condo, your major concern for your buyer should be the status certificate. That outlines any deficiency, any default by management and the building itself, okay? So if your client really wants it, I mean, you can educate them. You can't make the decision for them. But usually with condos, that it just doesn't happen, okay? So we're going to add our general inspection, okay? And so we've added that as well. The seller represents and warrants that the chattels and fixtures, so on, so on. What is the key word here that we're going to look for? Warrants? We're going to look for warrants? Chattels, warrants. So we could try both, warrants. But you're probably going to get a lot of warranties. You're probably not, but let's see. Well, we did find it with the first word. And if you see, it's right here. Chattels and fixtures, which gave you the first keyword of what it's referring to, good working order, it's a warranty, okay? So we would add that as well. And we can go forward with all our other clauses, okay? Seller agrees to provide at seller's own expense not later than 11:59 p.m. on the 5th business day after acceptance of this agreement, an existing survey of said property. What's going to be my keyword?
Survey.
Survey. So let's pull that up as well. See what comes up here. That's a lot. But if we read the clause carefully, it says seller to provide an existing survey, okay? So if we read the first clause, buyer acknowledges possible survey. Seller to provide existing survey with declaration. Usually, I mean, if we want to be really nitpicky, the survey will come with a declaration because it's an existing survey. So the seller will say, you know, this is what I have, it's existing, and this is basically all the information I can provide. That would come with a declaration. Now, are we going to do that? No. We usually take our existing survey, unless there's latent defects to the property that we probably might not be aware of and we're concerned as well. That's when we get thorough inspection. But in this case, if it's just freehold lease, freehold sale in a very good area, the home seems to be fine, an existing survey should do the job. But we can always go in and change that, okay? So we're going to add the clause that is closest to our standards, okay? So seller to provide existing survey with declaration. We're gonna wrap it up with the buyer shall have the right to revisit the property 2 further times. What keyword should we use here?
Visit.
Let's type in visit. See what comes up. Nothing.
Revisit.
Let's try and
No,
do,
revisit. It-
let's do revisit. Oh, sorry. See revisit, what comes up?
It's not on a standard condition. You
It's
can ask
not a
them-
standard condition, but buyer shall have the right. Let's see a right. Okay, let's see a right, what comes up?
We don't have it, I'm sure about it.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah,
No,
it's-
Is it there?
Yeah.
It's not consent.
It is in there. Right of inspection prior to completion. Right of reinspection prior to completion. Because revisit is not mandatory nor required, it's optional for the buyer and it's up to the seller to agree. That reinspection, we will go in now and change it to revisit. Okay? If we would have typed further, let's see what else would come up. Further sum, deposits, occupancy by right, a further sum of, deposit increase, right of reinspection prior to completion. Treb will only find the words that are actually belonging to real estate. Revisit is something we simplify for both buyers and sellers, but it isn't a requirement, okay? So we're going to use this right of reinspection, okay? And then the seller agrees to leave the property in a broom swept condition. What are we gonna search here, broom? Should we try broom? You wanna try and see if broom will do it? Let's try and do broom, okay? Broom does come up. Broom swept is a very strong keyword. Leaves you to your own interpretation of it, but broom swept is a clause that you'll find in real estate for whatever you're doing, whether it's a lease or a sale. You'll always find it in there. And like I said, broom swept for me can be sparkling clean. Broom swept for others could be really junky and garbagey. As long as there's no materials hanging around, broom swept can have a whole layer of dust for me. In my concept, it's broom swept, but you'll find it in there. So we're gonna add the cleaning part of it, okay? So now we've added all our clauses because we've completed what the agreement will look like, okay? So we know that further to all the information we've gone through on that agreement of purchase and sale, we've added all the clauses that we need. So now we're gonna click on next. And look what it'll do. It'll confuse us because now it's gonna pull up all our clauses, okay? And it will tell you your first clause, your second clause. You do have 2 options. You can make your changes from this page, which I never suggest to do, okay? It'll just add confusion to this page. What I suggest, and I'll tell you why, because you'll have a clearer vision of what it's gonna look like on your offer as well, is to scroll down to your last and click on Insert Clauses. You can always go in and remove them, but get them in there, okay? So insert clauses, and there it takes you back to your offer. You will go to your Schedule A, where your clauses are at on your offer, just by going down. And you'll find your clauses there. You see that? They're all there. Now, the first clause makes sense. Again, unless there's other agreements, not a bank draft, not a certified check, at that point you would go in. On the mortgage part of it, it's completely different from what ours is looking for. And you might not have dollars bearing interest percentages. On a normal condition on financing, you usually don't have those, okay? So you would go in and you can actually click here and make the change. See that? and you can add your words, your terminology, your conditions. You can go in and edit it. You can go in, remove this part, charge mortgage. You can remove all the rates, principal and interest. You go down to where you don't need it, okay? You would go up and remove it. Then you can do, the buyer gives notice in writing. You don't need that because it'll be in there, okay? The condition is fulfilled, the offer shall be null and void, and the deposit shall be returned, not later than. You can do your date, your time, let's say 5 p.m. today, right? You can actually go in and edit your clauses as you feel are good for you. July 12, 2018. You can edit the whole agreement further to what you've inserted from web forms, okay? You can go all the way down to the very end. It automatically generated another page, and you can see here. Did your clause finish here on the first page? It didn't. So you can actually move this clause down to your second page. So it's clear. That's why it's suggested to do the edits on the actual offer. You can go down and you have, again, the full clause on page 2, the full clause on page, the second clause, and you have the seller agrees to leave the premises, including the floors, in a clean and broom swept condition. It's actually shorter than our last clause, but that is what real estate requires, that clause in there. And whether you want to add fancy schmancy words to it, you can do it, but it's there. So let's say I want to add another condition on here. An example of another condition. Anyone have one in mind? Something that they want to type. You want to type something. Your buyer says, you know what, further to the chattels and the fixtures, they've excluded in there the chandelier in the dining room, but I want you to put it on there. Or the buyer will provide, if your seller says to you, no, tell the buyer I'm not fine with $10,000 deposit. I want an extra $15,000 within 5 days from firming up. We don't have a clause on MLS that will give you those details. So you will write it down and say, okay, I'm going to start drafting it. Let's see how it sounds. Have I covered everything? And then you go here and you write, you know, this upon offer being firm, the buyer. You can add anything you want on here. And you can go on and it'll add your schedules to it. With any document you're adding into web forms, further to your standards, you can personalize it to your needs, okay? You can remove the last page. If you think, okay, no, well, I don't need it. I can move my clause up, or I have to move it down. It'll automatically generate it. I never suggest that you go in, start doing your changes from the first page it gives you with the clauses, because then when you open your offer, you're all over. Your changes are not in line. Like this, you're working straight on an offer as if you see it. When you've completed this whole part here, okay, your offer is complete. It gives you different options, okay? View your options if it's not opening up like it is now. It is. Everyone seeing this top part here? You have print form. Do you want to print it directly? You could. If you click on that, you print it, okay? You have download. Again, read only or editable. Once again, unless you have another arrangement with your client, it's always suggested to download as read only. Spell check. Yes?
You do the signature on here.
You can't do a signature on here. No. That's why it'll give you the option to link it to an electronic signature program, okay? Or you can, we'll get to that. I'll show you right now, okay?
Can you edit that format? Like, for example, if you wanted, I know you can put numbers in for the clauses.
Yes.
Can you change the left margin over further?
You can do anything.
Yeah, it's
So if
fully
I-
editable.
If I do this, okay?
Okay, I change the margin.
I'll give you an example. You want to bullet point it?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Cool. I'd like to number it.
Okay, so like I'll give you an example, okay? If you do this, okay? and you can move it all. Okay? Now this computer is a little bit older. It doesn't give me the option to number them, like it doesn't come up in a format, okay? But you would have the option, if you highlight this, all,
And then just bullet form.
right,
No, but how do you, say, shift it over 3 spaces?
it would come up from your computer. So if you right click, once you highlight it, your computer probably has the option of the formatting, because it seems pretty new. I'll show you. Right? So right click on it, and then, writing direction inspect. We would have to pull up your editing options. Okay?
Yeah, that's what.
You can
number. I can number it
Right.
up here,
Right, but if you want to bullet point it, you're
or if I just want to
sorry.
make it a little more big to read.
It's the setting you have to put on your computer where you can actually go in and have the edit functions from the right click. After the course, I'll say, okay? Because you can actually go in your spell check, you can actually go in and bullet point it, it comes up with format options, okay?
Yeah, I know I have that word, but I don't have it here.
Okay, no problem. So we're gonna take a 2-minute break before sending out the download, and because Todd and everyone had to go, so we'll let them do their stuff. If you wanna grab more coffee, water, feel free to do so, because now we're gonna go to the second part of it. So to now, is it anything that you've already done, worked on, do you feel comfortable doing it? It'll always be tricky, this is all about practice. I mean, if you don't get used to it and you don't do it often, it's always gonna come up as something that you're not familiar with. That's why after the course, you'll all be receiving the email with the step-by-step instructions, just to bring you back to how it is, okay? But this will only come with training. I remember when I first drafted. Yeah, come, I'll give you some of this. I don't leave it out there or else it gets bad, right?
I'll bring a box, somebody put the garbage in there.
No. Here it is.
Sorry, I'll just count this.
Yeah. Thanks, I got it. Yeah. So we'll wait for the others so we can send it out, okay? Meantime, we're taking a 2-minute break. If you want some coffee, water,